guys, it's Charlotte. Today my guest here with me today. Say hi, Frankie.
Hi.
Yeah. Okay. So today, sorry guys, I haven't made a video in a long time. I've been on vacation in Mississippi, as you guys saw on my video on Monday. So I officially haven't made a video for you guys in a week. Very, very sorry about that. But anyway, let's get started. Since I'm off vacation now, I should be able to make videos for you guys again. Okay? I have not quitted my YouTube channel, okay? Okay. Let's start reading the next chapter. Nancy Joined the Blue Crew, number 4. The Cinderella Ballet Mystery. The Ballet Blunder by Carolyn Keene. Illustrated by Mackie Pamatutman. Okay guys, let's start reading. Chapter 9. Bravo. George gasped. You know what happened to the slippers? She demanded. What? Who? Where? How? Why? I think Gregory is the person who should be answering those questions, Nancy said. They marched up to Gregory and Scruffy, with George and Bess at her heels. Gregory stopped and turned around. Scruffy gave a short bark. Nancy put her hands on her hips and stared sternly at Gregory. She felt a little silly doing that in her mouse costume, but this was important. You took the Cinderella slippers, didn't you? Nancy accused Gregory. Gregory's cheeks turned bright red. I don't know what you're talking about, he said. You do know, she said, and you'd better tell us. Gregory stared at the floor. Scruffy barked at him. I think you took the Cinderella slippers as a joke, Nancy guessed. You had them somewhere, maybe in the storage area. Then you forgot where you hid them, or someone moved them. Either way, you don't know where they are. You've been looking for them since Wednesday, using Scruffy's super-duper doggy nose. Bess seemed to pick up on Nancy's thoughts. You let Scruffy smell the rhinestone and the piece of paper with a size on it to help track down the slippers, she said slowly. Gregory looked up and stared at her, his eyes wide. How do you know all that? He asked her. That's why we're the Clue Crew, George said with a grin. Oh, Gregory frowned. I didn't mean to steal the slippers exactly, he confessed finally. I was just going to hide them as a joke, like Nancy said. I did a rehearsal after Tuesday. Is that the last time you saw them? Nancy asked him. Gregory nodded. On Wednesday, when Andrea and everyone else figured out the slippers were missing, they all freaked out. I thought that was kind of funny. Then I went over to the hiding place to get them, but they were gone. Where did you get the rhinestone? Bess said. It fell off Tuesday when I hid the slippers. I was going to glue it on later. I let Scruffy smell it so he could help me find the slippers. He has an awesome sense of smell. I think his great-grandfather was a bloodhound. Then something else occurred to Nancy. That's why there was a magnifying glass in your dance bag, she said suddenly. Yeah, I was trying to act like a real detective, so I'd solve the mystery, Gregory admitted. I guess it didn't work. The slippers are still gone. Mr. McGuire is going to be super mad at me. Nancy thought for a moment. Where did you hide the slippers on Tuesday? She asked him. In a giant ice cream sundae, Gregory replied. A giant ice cream sundae, Nancy, George, and Bess replied in unison. Gregory nodded. Yeah, it was made of painted wood. It had a little shelf on the back part of it. I put the slippers there. But then the whole thing disappeared. Like, how did that happen? Nancy gasped. It all made sense now. I know where the sundae is, she exclaimed. You do? Gregory asked her eagerly. Where? I'll give you my magnifying glass if you find the sundae, he offered. You can keep the magnifying glass, Nancy told him. Come on, guys, we have to get up to the attic. The attic? Bess said, sounding confused. The giant ice cream sundae is from the Nutcracker. It's from the Nutcracker, Nancy said, heading for the stairs. Bess, George, and Gregory followed Nancy The four of them raced up the stairs to the attic. Scruffy bounded behind them. Nancy never ever had been in the attic before. It was a big room with a ceiling that sloped down on either side, following the lines of the roof. It was a full set of pieces and props, giant trees, the fronts of buildings, fake lampposts, Victorian furniture. Everything was covered with a fine layer of dust. Scruffy sneezed. So did Bess and George. Okay, what's this about the Nutcracker? George asked Nancy as she sneezed again. Miss Zelda told me she moved up some old set pieces from the Nutcracker from the studio up to the attic to make room, Nancy explained breathlessly. This was Tuesday night. Tuesday night? Gregory cried out. That's right after I hid the slippers. Nancy nodded. Exactly. Now we just have to find the giant ice cream sundae somehow. There's an awful lot of stuff in here. And we can't mess up our costumes or Mr. McGuire will be really mad, George pointed out. And we don't have a lot of time, Bess said. But it took Nancy and her Clue crew only a few minutes to find the giant ice cream sundae. It had been shoved in between a huge cookie and an enormous piece of pie. Nancy peered behind the sundae. She saw the shelf Gregory had mentioned. Actually, it was more than a little nook. The Cinderella slippers were there. Nancy pulled them out and held them up in the air. Yay, we found them! The Clue crew does it again, George said with a big grin. Nancy stood behind the blue velvet curtain. She peered through a crack between two curtain panels. Oh, I see Dad and Hannah, she said excitedly. They're sitting in the front row. I see my parents, Bess said. I see mine too, George added. It was opening night. The curtain would go up in a few minutes. Backstage, everyone was buzzing with excitement. Miss Elder hurried around, making sure that everyone's costumes were on just right. Mr. McGuire rushed here and there, checking that the lights and sound equipment were working properly. Andrea came up to Nancy and her friends. She was dressed in her Act 1 Cinderella clothes. A simple gray dress, black tights, and black ballet slippers. In Act 2, she would be transformed into a beautiful princess with her long pink ball gown and, of course, her special Cinderella slippers. Andrea gave each of the three girls a big hug. I don't know how to thank you guys, she said happily. You really are the most awesome detectives in the world. I'm just glad we found your slippers in time for opening night, Nancy said. Gregory apologized to me and Mr. McGuire, Andrea said. He brought us both homemade cookies from his mom, too. They were real this time, she giggled. That's good. Nancy giggled, too. Places, everybody, Mr. McGuire announced in a loud whisper. Curtain in 2 minutes. Oh my gosh, Bess exclaimed. Nancy and her friends ran to their places. Nancy's heart was pounding so hard that she thought it might burst out of her chest. It was opening night, and she was in the show. She was not just a real detective, but a real ballerina, too. The lights in the theater dimmed. The music began to play. The blue velvet curtain closed after the final act. Applause rang out in the auditorium. Behind the curtain, the dancers rushed around, looking for their places to take a bow. Nancy bumped into George. Oh, sorry, Nancy giggled. Ow, sorry, Nancy giggled. Wasn't that awesome? George said breathlessly. Bess ran up to them. That was so much fun, she said. I think we should all be dancers when we grow up. Dancer detectives, George said, nodding. We'll solve mysteries during the day and dance on stage at night. Mr. McGuire stepped out of the stage wings. His usual serious-looking face was glowing with excitement. Places, everyone, he said in a loud whisper. It's time to take your bows. I can't believe it's over, Bess gasped. Nancy took her place, so did George, Bess, and the other dancers. After a few seconds, the curtains swished open. Nancy was dazzled. Her eyes took a minute to focus because the stage lights were so light, and the auditorium was dark. Everyone was clapping like mad. Nancy tried to make out her father and Hannah in the audience. She finally spotted them. Her father was holding a bouquet of flowers and a big stuffed teddy bear. They were for Nancy. Then Mr. Drew and the whole audience stood up. This was a standing ovation, which meant that the people really liked the ballet. Nancy took her bow along with the other dancers. After a moment, Andrea swept out from the wing of the stage and took a special bow. Since she was Cinderella, the crowd clapped even more loudly. Andrea looked so pretty. Her Cinderella slippers glittered brightly under the stage lights. The curtain closed, then opened again. The audience just kept on clapping. Nancy turned to look at George and Bess, and grinned. They grinned back. The Clue Crew had done it again. And the end. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell. Keep reading, keep dreaming. See you guys next video. Bye!